Hi everybody, welcome to my channel Frugalisama. My name's Sam and this is where I talk about all things sewing, particularly dressmaking. Today I'm going to bring you 5 of my favourite free dress patterns, and this is in conjunction with the Frugal Frocks challenge that myself and Rowan at the Yorkshire Sew Girl have been running throughout the month of March. And I thought it might be useful for people to see some of the dresses that I've made over the years. These haven't been made for the challenge, and just to give you a little bit of inspiration and some hints and tips for making some of them as well. So if you're new here, welcome, and thank you for returning if you've been watching for a while. So on to today's video. Rowan and I have been absolutely blown away with all the people that have got involved with the challenge. It's been absolutely brilliant. The vloggers that have got involved have been over 40 vloggers been involved, putting out a video every day to inspire you. Everyone that's been giving us sneak peeks over on Instagram, and the sponsors that we've got as well. There are prizes. We have got some patterns, some PDF patterns as prizes, so we are able then to make it an international challenge. So very briefly, the challenge is to make yourself a dress during the month of March using a free pattern and using fabric that you've already got. So we're calling it stash fabric, but fabric that you already own. We don't want you to go out and buy fabric, so just making it as frugal as possible. And the reveal date then is on the 31st of March on Instagram. Really good way of trying a new designer, and I think the vloggers over the course of the month have been bringing you some fantastic new designers, new to me as well. So many out there, and it's really good to discover new designers. So that's the spirit of the challenge, really, making it as frugal as possible and maybe discover some new pattern designers along the way. So the first one is this one, which is the Antonia caftan, and this is from the Fabric Store. The Fabric Store has been a favourite of mine for a long time, just simply because of the variety of patterns that they've got out there. And while some of them can be quite basic, I think they've got a real wide variety of sizes and designs as well. So a couple of things that you just need to know about Fabric Store before I start, and that is that the patterns, as far as I know, are only available in A4 and US letter size. There's no A0 to download, and size range is pretty consistent throughout all their patterns. So they design patterns from 0 to 30. That's a 33-inch bust up to a 56-inch bust. The waist goes from 25 inches up to 48 inches, and the hips go from 35 inches up to 58 inches. I do know from a couple of comments that I've seen on their website that people do have difficulties navigating, downloading their patterns, and have got a little video that I put together quite a while ago that will help you with that. It's not difficult, but might just help you along. And all their pattern instructions are written in the style of a blog post. But what you will find is that there are links to some of the more, not complex, but some of the techniques are linked. So rather than going through every technique on every blog post, they just link back to a little tutorial. So for example, stay stitching, that's probably not within the actual blog post for that particular dress that you're looking for. It will be linked back. And I think that's ideal for somebody like me that doesn't need to know such information, and great for a beginner as well. The information is there. And the last thing that you need to know about Fabric Store is that they do design for linen. They sell linen, and most of their patterns are actually designed to be made with linen. But that's not to say that you can't make it with anything else. This Antonia caftan that I'm wearing now, this isn't a linen, this is just a poly crepe. You are looking at woven fabrics as opposed to knit fabric. What I would say is, if you're swapping out your fabric and you're not using a linen, just have a look at what weight that they're recommending and try and match up with that. That's probably your best advice, really. The beauty of sewing is that you can do what you like. So, you know, even if you wanted to use a jersey, like for this, you could use a jersey if you wanted to, but you just got to go into it knowing that that's not what it was designed for, so you might find you would need to go down a size or something like that. So for this Antonia caftan, I swapped it out for, it's just a polyester, and I saw this in the fabric shop, my local fabric shop, and it just screamed holidays to me, so I absolutely loved it, and it's worked absolutely fine. It is a very loose fitting dress. And you can either make it sort of as a beach cover-up or as a maxi dress. I'm wearing it as more of a maxi dress. So remarkably, for a long length dress, there are only 36 pages to print for this, which I can't believe for such a long dress. And there's only 5 pattern pieces as well. So you've got a front, a back, No sleeves because it's a grown-on sleeve, and then you've just got your facings. You've got a front and back neck facing, and then the belt. So a really simple make, this one, because it's got grown-on sleeves. You don't have any sleeves to fit. The neckline is finished with the facings, so you've not got fiddly bias binding to play with. No bust darts. Very loose fitting, so you're not having to fight with fitting. And yeah, your belt is just a straight line, so that's quite straightforward. If you're not a fan of facings, the facings are actually top stitched down. I don't find that they flip. They might do when I put them on, but I don't find that they flip out. The only thing is that it is quite fabric hungry, so if you are using stash fabric for the challenge, then you might find that you might not have enough. They do recommend 3 1/3 yards for this one. I think I got it out of 2 meters, and that is because, I'll come up close to the camera, but you can see that the sleeve is flipping out here, and that's because I had to piece it ever so slightly there. But you could actually go smaller on the sleeves. Like I said, there's lots and lots of room on this. Because the sleeves are grown on, it's quite difficult to fit those pattern pieces on side by side. So if you use a non-directional print and you're really clever, then you will use less fabric. You will be able to turn one upside down and do it that way. But to fit them together, you might struggle depending on what size that you make. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend piecing like I've done here, because like I say, it's caused these to flip. And what I might actually do is go back and just turn these under to stop it from flipping out. It's not a fault with the design of the actual dress, it's just what I decided to do with limited fabric. When I bought this fabric, I fell in love with it, screamed summer holidays, but really didn't know what I was going to make. And my standard go-to when I'm doing that is 2 meters. Rarely buy more than 2 meters unless I'm buying for a pattern that specifically says that it needs more. So the only alterations that I made with this dress is, if you look at the fabric store pictures, it's got a really high slit at the side, right up to the top of the thigh. I've just lowered that to mid-thigh. You can make your slit whatever length you want, because all you're doing is stopping sewing, there's nothing fancy going on. But you will need a slit in order to walk. But you could shorten this dress and make it knee length. The only other little thing that I changed is that I put these thread chains as belt loops on, which hopefully you can see there, and I do have a video tutorial for that as well. Quite straightforward. It's just personal preference. I prefer to have these. The other thing is, it is very loose fitting, so you might want to go down a size. This is the design of it. It should be loose fitting. I wouldn't want anything tight fitting if I was wearing it as beach wear. You may want to go down a size, and that might save you a little bit of fabric as well. So that's the Antonia Kaftan by Fabric Store, and I will change into my next one. Next up is the Luciana dolman sleeved faux wrap dress. Can't tell you how many times I tried to say that. And this is made in linen this time. And this is deep stash. This is some linen that I bought from a shop that's long since closed. Designed for a medium weight linen, and that's what this is. And what I would say about linen is, you really must wash it before you sew it up. I mean, you really must wash all your fabrics before you sew it up, but I know you lot don't. But natural fibres, you really do. You really don't want your fabric shrinking after you've sewn it up. That would be heartbreaking. So it's a faux wrap, as in it stops at the waist and then the skirt isn't wrapped. That saves you flashing next week's laundry. And then you've got these little shoulder yokes. It doesn't go onto the back, it just goes onto the shoulder, gathered into the bust area. And then you've got an elasticated waist for big dinners, and these little patch pockets. Lovely dress this, really comfortable. And although I've done it in really summery colours, it will be perfect in a black linen for autumn, winter, you know, coming into spring. And I really can't wait until I can start wearing this again, because it's a really comfortable little dress. So, a little bit more complex than the Antonia Kaftan, in you've got these yokes, but no bust darts and no bias binding neither. This bit here is finished with a double hem, so you're not doing bias binding, as are the sleeves. And you could put a cuff on the sleeves. I've seen somebody do that. I've seen somebody lengthen it as well. So quite a versatile little dress, and like I say, you could make it in a variety of fabrics, anything medium weight. So a lightweight chambray would be absolutely beautiful. You could even do it in a fine needle cord for winter wear. The only thing I would say is that I've got a safety pin here because I'm not particularly big chested, so I don't know if I was bigger I would have less chance of it moving, but I really don't think it detracts from it. Somebody did remark on their blog post that the actual sample that's been sewn up has obviously been cut on the straight grain. If you look at the sample, and it's been done on stripes, these stripes aren't going down like this, they're going in the line of this bias cut, and that would really help with stabilising this bias here. You can omit the pockets if you like. Good opportunity for playing with these stripes like I have done here on the yoke, and you could lengthen it, you could make it full maxi length if you like the Antonia. I would put splits in that if you're going to do that, because obviously you're not going to be able to walk. And whatever fabrics you like really, as long as it's a woven. With this deep wrap here, I wouldn't want to do it in a viscose, it will probably stretch out. There's only 30 pages with this and only 7 pattern pieces, and one of the pattern pieces is the belt loops, which again I've omitted and put these thread chains in, and one of the other pattern pieces is the pocket piece here. So if you don't like pockets, you can then omit them. You could put them on a side seam pocket if you prefer it to go on the inseam, but I quite like the patch pockets on this. I'm not always a big fan, but I quite like it on this. I think I've done a decent job hiding them. You can see I can't help putting my hands in my pocket. Although I've done it in extremely summery colours, it would be a great little dress all year round this. You could wear something underneath it in a fine needle cotton, or what about something like an African wax print or something like that. That could be fun. Nice and stable as well. You wouldn't have too much bother with this neckline. So other than your fabric, you will just need some elastic for the waistband. And if you've never done a casing before, I've got a little tutorial on how to do that, which I put together last summer. So yeah, the sizing is exactly the same as I mentioned before. I'll put it on the screen. The sizing's the same throughout Fabric Store. That's the Luciana Dolman sleeve faux wrap dress. Next up is a good one for anybody who fancies giving self-drafting a go. This is the little boxy dress by Sew in Love, and it will fit you because it's based on your own measurements. It's a really versatile little pattern is this, because you've got a V-neck and then you can swap it round, and if you can see at the back here, you can swap it round and wear it with the scooped neck to the front, and you just do it by taking your own measurements. So the measurements that you take are actually round your arms, not round your bust, around your arms. And she does have a full video tutorial for this now, and a workshop. I'm pretty sure when I did it several years ago that it was just a blog post. Best little dress I've ever had for taking on holiday because of the fabric that I use, which I think is just a lightweight satin. It folds up really small, and because you've got 2 choices, it's great for evening wear on holidays. You can wear it this way and then swap it round and you've got 2 dresses, so it takes up very little room in your suitcase. Lots of support for making this one. She really does hold your hand. There is a Facebook group as well. Need very little material, however mine is sort of well above my knee. You'll see in the photographs it's well above my knee. You can make that as long as you want. The pattern designer Rin is quite petite. I think she said she was 5'5", and she's a size 8, US size 8. Again, you make this to your own requirements, so you can make this V as low or as high as you like. You can make the scoop at the back or the front, whichever way you're wearing it, as high and low as you like, and you can make the length as high and low as you like. So you could make it full length maxi if you want, but what there isn't is an opportunity to put sleeves on. There's no drafting for sleeves, which makes it really basic. Like I said, it's a great little starter for drafting your own, and really satisfying when you've actually come up with all the measurements and put it together yourself. In terms of fabric, it is designed for wovens. She's suggesting something fairly lightweight, such as a chambray. I think she's used a suiting cotton for one of them. Would be really beautiful in a silk, especially for like a holiday dress. She's not recommending a knit for it. The only difficult bit about this is that you've got bias binding around the arms and the neckline to finish it off. Not difficult, it's just if it's not a skill that you've acquired, then it's just a new one to learn. I decided to do French seams. Again, that's optional, you don't have to do that. I probably didn't have an overlocker at the time, and that's probably why I went French seams. So it's sleeveless, and there's no darts in this neither. So get your room at the bust from this pleat here. So yeah, it is quite loose fitting. It's not fitted at the waist or anything. And there's lots of examples on the designer's website of how to style it as well. So you could wear something underneath it. Made in a different fabric, it will look completely different. If, like the suiting fabric that she's made it in, it will look like a completely different dress. So yeah, absolutely love this one. It's been well worn. I've taken it on every holiday I've ever been on since I made it. So all you need really to make this dress is something to draw on, drafting paper or any kind of paper at all. She's used a French curve, but you can use a plate to do the curves, and around about 1 metre of fabric. Again, that would depend on your size and how long you're going to make it. I would suggest that you sign up for the workshop, have a look at the videos, and then you can decide what fabric that you're going to make it in. You know, just try it with a note sheet or something like that first. So that's the little boxy dress by Sew in Love. So on to a couple of patterns that might challenge you now, and two from Peppermint magazine. I've seen this summer dress that I'm wearing here a few times pop up on the challenge, either people making it or some of the vloggers suggesting it as a pattern. And I thought, oh, I've made that one, I shall show people. This is a fitted dress, and I would always recommend that you toile a fitted dress. And when I say toile, this is a wearable toile. So the red one was made as a wearable toile out of a piece of fabric that I rescued from the remnant bin, and I think it cost me £1. In terms of more complex, what I mean by that is that you've got a princess seam bodice. The bodice is fully lined. Then you've got these pockets which are fitted into the waistband. You've got a separate waistband and a gathered skirt and a side zip as well. I would always recommend toiling something that's fitted. We're all different sizes, and it's impossible for somebody to design something that will fit you straight out of the packet. We're all different sizes. So yeah, there's just more elements to this. I wouldn't say that it's a particularly difficult dress to make, but there's just more elements to it to say this dormant sleeved caftan or something like that. The sample in the pictures on the Peppermint magazine website, they've played with stripes, so they've gone horizontal with the stripes across the front here, and then vertical with the stripes down the side bodice. A really good opportunity to play about with stripes there. So you can use any kind of cotton shirting. Viscose I don't think will work on a princess seam. It'd stretch out too much, I think. So yeah, they suggest something light to medium weight fabric really. So they have said like a cotton shirting. This is a Liberty Tarn lawn. Get me with a Liberty. My son bought me this, bless him. It is a really lovely lightweight summer dress. I feel really girly in this and feminine, and yeah, I really love it. So other than fabric, you will need a zip, you will need some lining. It does say interfacing, but I'm not sure where, I can't remember using any interfacing on it. Might be on this waistband perhaps. And a hook and eye for the top of the zip. One of the design details that they suggested is putting piping down the princess seam here, which if you want to make it really difficult for yourself, then that would be good, but it's not something I fancied doing. So Peppermint magazine over the years have used a variety of different designers, and this one has been put together by Pattern Runway, and it is one of their early designs is this dress, and it is a very limited size range. Just say 2 metres of fabric to make this. I think I only had 2 metres of this Liberty one. So I did manage to squeeze it out of that. This one from the remnant bin, I'm not sure. I suspect that I had less because it came out of the remnant bin, and I did sort of line the pockets with something else, so that suggests to me that I didn't have the 2 metres required. But 2 metres for fabric for a dress, that's brilliant really. And it's got pockets. It's great. So this only goes up to a 39.5 inch bust. So it goes from 32 to 39.5 inch bust, and the size ranges, I'm in the next to last for my bust and then the last for my waist. I'm usually a 32 inch waist. Because it's so long ago, I can't remember if I had any fitting issues with it, but I do seem to remember that I might have had something under it was a general thing that what I used to do is make something to fit my waist and have too much room in the bust. That was something that I used to do before I got a little bit more experience. So I might have had to bring it in. I've got enough room in this for it to be comfortable to wear without it being too fitted and me feeling too restricted. So a real shame about the size range on this one. It is a really lovely dress, but very limited for who can make it. and would be quite difficult unless you've got quite a lot of experience to upsize it, I would think. I did notice when I came back to have a look at it, because it is a while since I made this, that there is a variation just to make the skirt as well. So yeah, really love it, one of my favourites, definite winner. But just a shame about the size range really. So that's the Peppermint Magazine Summer Sundress. So last but not least is another one from Peppermint Magazine, and this is the Pleated Summer Dress. And actually this is a top. But the design is for a dress. I just didn't have enough fabric to make the dress out of it. Another fabric that I rescued from the remnants bin, and I just wanted to give this hidden button placket a go. It looks like I should have ironed this. It's a linen viscose mix, I think, and again, because I got it out of the remnants bin, it's quite difficult to identify, but it's definitely got linen in it, so apologies for the creases. But in terms of complexity, I would say that this one's probably the most complex. Again, not difficult. There is 26 pages of instructions on this that will really help hold your hand. So unlike the Fabric Star one, Peppermint Magazine are a little bit better at giving you more detailed instructions if that's what you prefer. If you've never done a hidden button placket, really good place to start with a free pattern and make it into a top like I have. Just lengthen it a little bit. I think the dress stops at the waist. Lengthened it and put a curved hem on it. So yeah, in terms of complexity, you've got a bust dart, and the bust dart is one of those that goes that way rather than that way. Doesn't come quite from the waist, but it shoots up. You've got bias binding around the sleeves, which comes to the front, and the neckline as well, and then you've got this placket. And then you will have pleats as well. Pleats aren't difficult. It's a really nice little dress, summer dress is this. Again, it's sleeveless, depending on what fabric you make it in. Would depend on whether it's winter, summer, spring appropriate. They're recommending linen or a linen blend like I've used, cotton voile, even tencel they've recommended. They're also suggesting a cotton gauze or a chambray. It'd be really nice in a chambray. Anything is nice in a chambray in my opinion, or even a silk if you want to make it really special. It is a boxy silhouette, so you're not going to have too many problems with fitting. Size range is a little bit more generous than the last Peppermint one. This goes from a 30-inch bust up to a 51.5-inch bust. Although there's only about 2 inches ease in the bust, there's about nearly 11 in the waist. There's quite a lot of ease in the waist. Waist measurements goes from 24-inch up to 45.5 inches. So this one is actually available in A4, US letter size and A0, so you can send it off to the printers. Just one caveat though, there are 3 pages of A0, so it will cost you a little bit more to get printed, maybe a £5 depending on who you use. And that is mainly because the actual skirt part of it is just 2 massive rectangles that are sewn together. It does have inseam pockets on the dress version. Obviously I've not put them in because I've only done a top. Really nice little top that I've made, and it looks like a really nice dress as well. I never got around to making the dress and I'm not sure why. So that is the summer pleated dress by Peppermint Magazine. As always, a little bonus from me, and that is using a free top pattern and making it into a dress. Spoken about this before and I've done a full review of it, but that is this Vera dress or Vera top with a nice deep cuffs, and I've just extended that into a dress. If you haven't been able to find a free dress pattern that you like, and there are lots of free dress patterns about, why not use a top? Peppermint Magazine have also got this, they call it the peplum top, which has got this lovely V at the back and the nice scoop front, and while it's quite cropped you can just deepen these ruffles and make lots of ruffles and tier it. They've got the Baden dress, which is exactly the same technique in that they've got a bodice and then they're just putting panels on, and the panels are just rectangles, so you can make them as deep as you like, you can make them as gathered as you like. It's subject to how much fabric you've got. If you have a look at my original video where I was talking about the challenge, I've got lots of ideas for that as well. That's it from me today, I think. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you're new to this channel and you've not seen my videos before, I bring out videos on a Friday with Frugal Fridays. I do something midweek with a tutorial or hints and tips, and then on a Sunday I do reviews, plans and makes, that sort of thing. Thank you very much for watching. Do hope you take the time to watch some of the other vlogs that have been made by people throughout the challenge. Let me know below what you're planning on making, or if I've inspired you with something today, you've seen something, wasn't too sure that whether you were going to make it or not, and now you've seen mine, you thought, yeah, quite easy, I'll do that. I think sometimes your limitations is the amount of fabric you've got more than anything. And when I put my original video together, what I did was started with the fabric. So there's another top tip for you. Started with what fabric I've got, and then I had a look to see what patterns would fit within that. Let me know below if you've decided what you're going to make for the challenge as well. Don't forget, reveal day is the 31st of March, but you can tell me it's okay, I won't tell anybody else. Okay, that's it from me. Thanks for watching. Bye.